Hi, this is Dr. Boyle, and I wanted to take a little bit of time to talk to you about some further strategies for working on your writing in the class. I'm going to discuss a couple options for you to get some assistance, some further assistance beyond the options that you typically have of sending the post for me to look at in advance of the due date, and some resources for you to access online. We'll be doing some of these demonstrations. This is just an example of a video I'm sending along, but we'll have some other types of workshops that we'll be making use of on Fridays. Okay, as you know, we have a couple blog post assignments, and you're working on finishing another one today on Friday. So I wanted to go over some of the things that I've seen, some trends and tendencies, and also to just kind of remind you about some things to keep in mind as you work on these. First of all, remember that posts should have a specific point that you can develop or argue, and I've emphasized the last part of that sentence. And the reason is that, with that first post, we were looking for creating definitions that you could work with that you then could build on in a particular post, offering specific examples, and that was just fine as kind of initial starting point. But as we move through, you'll notice that the questions that I pose on the blogs for the blog assignments are increasingly asking you to be able to kind of develop or argue your idea. In other words, you should have a point that you can really build on, that you can talk about in detail, and that you have to make some sort of claims for that isn't completely obvious. And I've tried to offer multiple examples, including the ones that I've posted under files at Canvas, about what these look like. But we'll continue to look at examples in class. But remember to ask yourself when you're responding to a question, have I been specific in that opening paragraph about what I want to explore, and is there some potential for me to have to develop it or make it apparent to the reader, rather than just sort of an obvious definition that then you find yourself just sort of kind of filling in examples for. You also want to make sure that you have examples and citations or references to the reading. Remember, that is a requirement of this. It allows us to be sure that we're staying on top of the readings and that we're all developing kind of the same sense of a vocabulary and some of the items that we'll be able to employ for the project at the end of the course. And then finally, I'm really interested in you working towards an understanding of the idea throughout the post. Remember, these are not meant to be just sort of packed little traditional essay formats where you introduce an idea, you demonstrate it, and then you kind of summarize it. I want you to really kind of be pushing yourself to explore an idea. And I'm hoping that you're picking things that are of some sort of interest to you so that you can really sort of undertake that with some honesty. So I'm looking for you to be thinking in these. And to be honest with you, I want you to work on, and I'll talk about this in a minute, the mechanics of your writing, but I'm particularly concerned about you getting to a point where you can think critically about these things. So I'm really looking for that. I'm looking for posts where I see somebody really sort of working with an idea. All right. And again, you can always send a post in advance to get some feedback if you're interested on really developing your grades on these and developing your insights on them. There are some opportunities for you to get some assistance, and a couple of you have noticed that I pointed out in your writing some things that have come up as tendencies maybe at the sentence level. One of them I noticed in the last round was something we call fused or run-on sentences. I'm not interested in this class in teaching grammar, and in fact, studies show that grammar really is not taught well in sort of a direct sense, that people learn to write and learn to correct their mistakes by practicing. That's what the evidence shows. And it's a far more interesting approach to it anyways because you're engaging with the ideas while you're learning how to express them. But on occasion, I will point out something that's happening in the sentence level that I think is correctable if you had an example of it. And you'll notice that in some of the comments on the post, I've directed you to a URL online that's to Purdue University and their online writing lab. And that link is available to those that I offered it to in the comments, but it's also going to be available through this presentation that will be uploaded to the site as well. The Purdue Online Writing Lab is a tremendous resource. It can give you some additional help with mechanics, but it also has a fabulous resource for working, and very clear, for working with style guides and that kind of thing, or how to integrate a particular quote, or how to integrate a reference or citation to a particular type of media or a blog post. These are things we'll emphasize a little bit more as we get a little farther in. But please do know that this is a really helpful resource. Very quickly, one other thing that I want to direct you to is the Coastal Writing Center. We do have a writing center here at Coastal. It really is pretty good overall, and they're very accessible. They have 2 locations now. The first is in Prince, room 209. I think they're still in there. They've been moving around so much these days, but I think they still are in Prince Building, room 209. The phone number is on the screen here, and again, you can pull this back up if you need to on the Canvas site or off the web through the Coastal website. They urge you to make an appointment, but you don't have to. They do have walk-in hours, and for these smaller assignments, and you can go in with any assignment, it doesn't have to be an essay, you can kind of walk through the door, sit down, tell them what you're attempting to do, and they will give you one-on-one feedback. The Prince office, 209, has hours from 8:30 to 7 p.m. Monday through Thursday, and on Friday from 8:30 to 3. The Bryan Information Commons, which is, of course, the new library space in 234 also, has a Coastal Writing Center outlet there, Monday through Thursday, 7 p.m. to 10 p.m., and Sunday, 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. To be honest with you, I have had students give me kind of mixed reviews sometimes. That to be very honest with you, your success in this environment depends sometimes on who you get as a tutor. But they have been really improving this resource, and I think it's very valuable. And so if I've been indicating to you that I see some issues in your writing and this is affecting your scores in some way, I would strongly recommend that in addition to getting feedback from me, that you go over to the Coastal Writing Center, make an appointment, or wander in and have them give you a little bit of one-on-one feedback on your writing. And of course, you're welcome to do this with colleagues or friends that you have that you feel like would be a good resource for looking at your writing as well. Okay, I hope that you have good success in getting this post in this Friday. We'll see you next week, and again, we'll be doing some workshops and other kinds